You are now listening to the
Gilbert
Hot
Burns,
Take Hot Box.
Jack Della, Maddalena. This is just another one of them fight where you're like, and this fight. You know, you keep going down the line. Gilbert Burns is a plus 145 underdog to Jack Della's minus 165 tie. I don't really understand that line all that much. I mean, Jack Della has some good wins. He had a split decision against Kevin Holland the last time out, which I don't really
Two splits in a row.
recall that. Was that the night? I think that was the night Rosas Jr. knocked that guy out. I think that was the Mexico City, or no, that was like they had like the
it was when he knocked him
UFC, right? Yeah, that was.
Yeah. With
that's right.
Loopy cashing us in with that rear naked choke.
Yes. I do remember all that. Yeah,
actually, I think I might have had decision. I'm not sure.
I don't recall. It might have been, but
two splits in a row for Jack Della. Big step up here, right? You'd think.
Yeah, and I didn't like the way Hafez was able to really his takedown. Jack Della's takedown defense was shooting a guillotine, which I sure hope he doesn't try to do that here. And Durinho, he's getting older. He's 37 years old, but I thought he's looked good. He dominated Jorge Masvidal. He took out Neil Magny. There's music playing on an ad right now on my screen. That's insane. That was wild. He lost to Khamzat Chimaev, but he's the only guy who really pushed Khamzat Chimaev. You know, other than he kind of honestly exposed Chimaev as somewhat of a fraud. You know, he hasn't lost yet, but that was the first night where we were like, "Wow, this guy is actually human. He actually can be beat. This is interesting." The Bilal Muhammad fight, he broke his arm or something early on, and
fucked his shoulder up.
Yeah, that's right on that takedown sort of, and he landed awkwardly. Listen, I say all that to say I have been saying this for months, and ever since I saw the Hafez fight, I was in the thought process of you need to prove me wrong or prove me different before I ever believe in you again. Gilbert Burns' submission is plus 380, Ty. That's what I'm taking. Jack Della Maddalena he's lost 2 times in his career, one by submission, one by knockout. They were both obviously a long time ago in the first 2 fights of his career. But Jack Della, I always look at it this way, like how do they finish fights? You know, Jack Della has 11 knockouts. He only has 2 submissions. He's obviously not comfortable with the ground game, or will try to stay away from that ground game. I'd feel even more confident this was a 5-round fight, but I have a feeling that Gilbert Burns is going to cut through this man's guard like butter, and he's going to make it look somewhat easy, and he's going to teach this kid a lesson. That's just my thought process. So I am going Gilbert Burns submission plus 380.
I'm following you with that. I think he just very recently, the beginning of last year, got a arm triangle victory over Neil Magny, made it look easy, quick. Got 4 takedowns against Masvidal, so he's been going to that as of late. And not just in the Hafez fight, but against Angelusa, Jack Della Maddalena was in 2 deep arm triangles. So I think that's, I'm not necessarily MMA math isn't undefeated there. It's not perfect, but I think that matters a lot, especially with this matchup. The problem I have with Burns, he's just very hittable, it seems like, especially as the fight goes on. He's also been dropped by a jab multiple times, and Jack Della has one of the best jabs in the UFC, in my opinion. So that's an issue. You know what I mean? I can kind of see either of them getting to their ultimate spot in this fight, but I think Burns has pretty good cardio, pretty good toughness. The last fight was just very unlucky, Also fought Bilal Muhammad, who's going to be fighting for a title. But Gilbert Burns has devastating low kicks. And against somebody who has a heavy on the front foot with that boxing style, I think that's going to matter a lot. Burns also has explosive striking himself, but the injury, the age, the durability, sometimes I think that is an issue for sure. Looking back, his wins haven't aged that well. Hopefully he doesn't stay at range too much. I don't think he will, honestly. I think he's going to want to get in close, get him down, and get a sub. Real quick, have you watched The Embedded at all?
No, not yet.
Oh man, Jack Della! I never realized he has like that National Geographic voice. It's so funny hearing him talk. And of course, the first thing in Aussie does when they get to Florida is go look for gators. So that was kind of funny. But he has power in both hands. He really likes to back you against the cage, tee off on you, and just make you quit pretty much. Like I said, very good jab, making improvements for sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if this went the other way. But again, two low-level guys, in my opinion, almost had him in arm triangles, like specific submissions that Gilbert Burns specifically has victories over by way of, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Jack Della has some good takedown defense. I think Hafez was like 3 of 20. The problem is when you get him down, like you can control Jack Della. You know, he kind of doesn't know the best ways of getting up. So I just think also Basil Hafez is fighting Mickey Gall at 302. So that should be fun.
Jesus.
We get to see him back in there and hopefully get his first win. I'm following you. I think Gilbert Burns' sub is very live. I think maybe even if he gets stung a little bit and this does go to the ground or he just gets hurt and has to look to try to panic wrestle, I think it could still work. Gilbert Burns is so strong and so fundamentally sound grappling wise. So,
Yeah.
And do you see he's working pretty much? I know him and RoboCop work together, but for this fight, they're like right next to each other. They're with each other anywhere they go, anywhere you look. So I think that's going to matter a little bit. Not that Gilbert Burns needs anybody teaching him more tricks, but just having that around him. I'm with you, Gilbert Burns sub. Let's fucking bring it home.
Yeah, and to piggyback off your point, like all I had to see was that Usman fight and see that the fear that Usman had about going to the ground with Gilbert Burns kind of proved my point. Now that fight didn't go Gilbert Burns' way, but
He did get a knockdown.
He did get a knockdown, and I think Gilbert Burns is going to have a much easier time taking down Jack Della Maddalena than he did Kamaru Usman. So I am with you. Gilbert Burns submission plus 380 is a fat number too, and that is a number that I am very, very excited about.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.